Let me begin with a question that will shake the very foundations of your thinking. What if I told you that the reason your destiny feels delayed is not because of the devil, not because of your enemies, not even because of your circumstances, but because you have been focusing on everyone else but yourself? We live in a generation consumed by distractions. People are busy watching the lives of others, scrolling through highlight reels, and comparing their behind the scenes to someone else's stage performance. But here's a truth that will challenge you. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. It is life without purpose. And purpose cannot be found until you focus on you. This message is not just another motivational talk. It is a divine confrontation. Because the moment you stop watching others and begin watching yourself, your growth, your gift, your calling, that moment marks the rebirth of your destiny. So stay with me, not just to hear, but to recover your identity. You are about to discover the explosive power that lies dormant inside you, awaiting your focus. If you're tired of living beneath your potential, if you're ready to rise above comparison, if you want to lead your life instead of watching others lead theirs, then this is your moment. You were not born to compete. You were born to complete. The reason you struggle with self-worth is because you've measured yourself by others. But hear me, you are not a copy. You are an original manuscript, handwritten by the Creator himself. Competing with others will only make you a counterfeit version of yourself. Focusing on yourself makes you a clearer version of your purpose. The race of destiny is not about beating others. It's about becoming who you were born to be. Every human being arrives on this earth with a divine assignment, an original purpose uniquely tailored by the Creator. This purpose is not duplicated, not repeated, and certainly not borrowed. You were not born to chase after the pace of others, nor were you designed to fit into someone else's mold. You were born to complete something that only you can complete, to fulfill a role that no one else can fulfill. Confused identity. When you do not know who you are, you will try to become who they are. You will try to mimic their calling, imitate their path, and borrow their vision, thinking that by doing what they do, you will somehow become significant. But significance is not in similarity, it is in originality. The seed of greatness planted in you has a different soil requirement than the one planted in someone else. That is why comparison is not only toxic, it's inaccurate. You don't know what they're called to. You don't know what price they paid. You don't know what season they're in. And more importantly, it is a race against time and a race toward completion. And until you stop focusing on how far someone else has gone and start focusing on what you were assigned to do, you will continue to delay the manifestation of your own potential. You were born to complete your course, not compete with someone else's pace. The power of focusing on yourself is the power to align with heaven's blueprint for your life, to build, to create, to contribute in the way only you can. You are not here to repeat history. You are here to make it. Purpose is discovered in isolation, not imitation. You will never discover your assignment while staring at someone else's. God hid your purpose inside of you, not outside of you. You won't find it on a stage. You won't find it in applause. You will find it when you look inward. Isolation is not punishment, it is preparation. One of the most tragic mistakes a person can make is to believe that their life's meaning will be found in the reflection of others. We live in an age where imitation is celebrated, where trends are followed blindly, and where uniqueness is often traded for acceptance. But purpose does not reveal itself in crowds. It does not announce itself in the noise. never give you lasting fulfillment. You were not created to echo the voice of others. You were created to carry your own sound. The most important discoveries of your life will not come from observation, but from introspection. What you are carrying inside of you, your vision, your gift, your solution, was buried there long before anyone had an opinion about you. And the only way to uncover it is to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with your own. That is where clarity begins. And it is only when you have discovered the why for your life in secret that you can walk into the what in public. You do not need to be like anyone else to be great. In fact, the more you imitate others, the further you drift from your true assignment. The power of focusing on yourself is the power to find the original instructions for your life, the divine design that no one else can fulfill. Until you dare to be alone with yourself, you will never truly meet the person you were born to become. Identity precedes impact. Before Jesus Before you can change the world, you must first discover who you are. Too many people are obsessed with doing something significant before becoming someone authentic. But impact without identity is dangerous. It leads to exhaustion, confusion, and collapse. You cannot sustain influence on a foundation that isn't rooted in truth about yourself. Until you know who you are, it is something you uncover from within. It is the invisible root that determines the visible fruit. Everything you do is born out of who you believe yourself to be. And if your sense of identity is fragile or false, then every achievement becomes a desperate attempt to prove your worth, instead of a joyful. This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. That affirmation came before activity. It came before performance. That was identity. You are not what people say. You are not what you've been through. You are who you were created to be. Before anyone ever knew you, will change. Because real power is not in imitation. Real power is in authenticity. And when identity is firm, impact becomes inevitable. The clearer you are about who you are, the louder your life will speak. Distractions are the death of destiny. The enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to distract you. Your attention is currency. And what you invested in will determine your return. Focusing on others makes you a spectator. Focusing on yourself makes you a steward of your gift. The reason many remain stuck isn't because divided attention. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they are addicted to distraction. And distraction is the enemy's most subtle weapon. He doesn't always attack with calamity. Sometimes he just gives you something less important to focus on. He doesn't need to derail your life with disaster if he can detour you with noise. Every time you give your attention to what doesn't grow you, build you, or align with your purpose, you delay always the most gifted. They are simply the most focused. And in a world filled with endless scrolling, constant opinions and non-stop comparisons, maintaining your focus has become an act of warfare. Focusing on others, what they have, where they are, how fast they're moving, will only rob you of your clarity. It blurs your vision, clutters your heart, and silences your own inner voice. You begin to live reactively instead of intentionally. You become a consumer of everyone's path, but never a creator of your own. Distraction isn't always obvious. Sometimes it disguises itself as harmless habits, endless entertainment, meaningless conversations, obsessive comparison, unguarded time. But each one is a seed planted to delay your harvest. You were not created to live a life of aimless activity. You were designed for divine productivity. That means your thoughts, your energy, your time, your eyes, they must all be guarded like the gates of a kingdom. Because whatever enters your focus will begin to shape not walk in power while living in distraction. Growth demands self-discipline. You don't grow by accident. You grow by intention. And that intention must begin with you. It's time to stop waiting for someone to believe in you, sponsor you, or applaud you. Become your own accountability. Success is not a miracle. It is a product of consistent, focused effort. The discipline to study, to pray, to create, to work. These are not acts of selfishness. These are acts of stewardship. You are the manager of your own future. And managers don't make excuses. Growth is not a gift, it is a result. You don't stumble into maturity by accident, and you don't become excellent through convenience. True development, the kind that transforms your life and activates your purpose, is always birthed through the discipline of focus. Growth demands that you take responsibility for your time, your mind, your choices, and your habits. You cannot grow while waiting on someone else to motivate you. You cannot grow while waiting on applause to validate you. And you certainly cannot grow if your energy is being drained by everything and everyone except the one person responsible for your future, you. Discipline is the daily decision to do what aligns with your destiny, even when your emotions disagree. It is showing up when no one sees, sacrificing pleasure for progress and prioritizing what produces over what merely entertains. It is saying no to distractions, yes to structure, and being accountable to your own potential. You are not designed to live a life of reaction. You are designed to live a life of intention. And intention requires a clear internal command. I will not waste my life. The reason many never become what they were called to be is because they spend years in cycles of excuses, postponements, and procrastination. They want greatness without order, success without structure, and progress without pressure. But you must understand, every great tree was once a disciplined seed. Every giant you admire today paid the price of preparation in the hidden seasons of discipline. There is no elevation without private consecration. When you focus on yourself, you begin to identify what needs to be strengthened, what must be removed, and what must be nurtured. Self-discipline is the sharpening of the axe before the tree is ever touched. It is becoming strong in the dark so you don't collapse in the light. Discipline is not bondage. It is freedom in seed form. It is the commitment to guard your future by mastering your present. Without it, dreams remain fantasies. With it, they become reality. You cannot lead what you have not mastered. Within you were designed for influence, but you cannot lead anyone until you first lead yourself. Emotions unmanaged will sabotage your calling. Thoughts undisciplined will keep you circling in delay. Until you master what's within, you will be mastered by what's around. The power of focusing on yourself is not self-centeredness, it is leadership in seed form. Every leader you admire, every giant you respect, began by winning the battle of the inner life. Leadership does not begin with a title, a platform, or a following. It begins with mastery over yourself. Before you can lead others, you must first be able to lead your own thoughts, emotions, habits, and decisions. The most dangerous kind of leader is one who has influence but no inner order. Power without self-control is a formula for destruction. You cannot guide people effectively when you yourself are lost internally. Every great leader you admire didn't rise because of charisma alone. They rose because they first conquered the inner battlefield. Mastery within is what gives birth to credibility without. It means you are not led by moods, nor manipulated by pressure. You are anchored, stable, and self-aware. And that kind of person can carry the weight of leadership without crumbling under its demands. When you avoid focusing on yourself, you delay your development. And when you delay your development, you forfeit your authority. The world doesn't just need people with vision, it needs people with discipline, people who have governed their own souls before trying to lead others into greatness. The habits you tolerate in private will eventually sabotage you in public. The patterns you ignore within will grow into problems you cannot contain. That is why self-focus is not selfish. It is leadership training. You must become a student of your own tendencies, your own limitations, your own strength zones. Because if you don't manage you, your future will be unmanageable. You can't heal others while hiding from your own wounds. You can't instruct others while ignoring your own lessons. You can't build others while neglecting the foundation of your own character. When you master yourself, you lead from integrity. You speak with authority. You inspire through consistency. And that is the kind of leader the world is starving for. Not perfect, but whole. A person who took the time to win the private battles before fighting the public ones. A person who didn't just focus on the spotlight, but focused on their soul. That's real leadership. That's where legacy is born. So now we arrive at the heart of the matter. You've heard the call, not just to listen, but to awaken. The journey to purpose, growth, and impact does not begin in a crowd. It begins in the mirror. Every great destiny is born the moment a person decides to stop watching others and start working on themselves. You were not sent to this earth to live in reaction. You were sent to rule with intention. And ruling begins with self-governance. When you focus on yourself, you begin to silence the noise and amplify your purpose. You begin to see clearly. You begin to live deliberately. You begin to break cycles and build foundations. You stop chasing relevance and start building legacy. Because the truth is, you can only transform the world to the extent that you have been transformed within. Your focus is not just a mental decision, it is a spiritual alignment. And when your eyes return to your assignment, your life regains its authority. Stop wasting your time on people who don't know your value. Stop investing your energy in things that don't feed your future. Stop scrolling through lives that distract you from building your own. Focus on you. This is not selfish, it's sacred. Because the version of you the world needs the most is the version that's fully focused, fully free, and fully awakened. So today I speak not just to your ears, I speak to your destiny. The power you seek is already in you. The purpose you long for is waiting in you. The breakthrough you've prayed for is buried in you. All it needs is your focus. Now go. Withdraw from the noise. Turn inward. Take inventory. Make changes and rise. Because when you focus on yourself, you release the power to become everything you were created to be.